Hello and welcome back to the Pin Podcast. I'm your host, Pin of Miami, and today is episode number 30, and it is a new year. Woo-hoo! If you all are here with us in 2021, we're ready to continue the craziness and see what life has in store for us. And I really wanted to say thank you to everyone that is new to the podcast. If you just clicked on here and are listening, welcome. I hope you enjoy and you stay. And if you're a returning listener, I just have to say that I love you and I appreciate you listening. And I look forward to all of our audio adventures. And if you watch me on YouTube, our visual adventures together. Make sure you like and subscribe the video if you're watching on YouTube. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever, make sure to rate the podcast. That really helps. And I greatly appreciate it. And if you want to know about upcoming guests or any behind the scenes, follow me on the Instagram at Pinned Podcast Official or on my Instagram, PinUp Miami. Today's guest, you guys, if you don't know who she is, it's because you haven't listened to the podcast before. She's been an OG guest. She is actually a motivator for my podcast. Her name is Vivian. She is an artist in South Florida, and her Instagram is Arteluna Miami. She sponsored our podcast all last month. She's a great supporter, so make sure to follow her at Arteluna Miami on Instagram and check out her shop, artelunamiami.com. How are you doing today, Vivian? It's been a year.
I'm doing great.
Welcome back.
And Happy New Year. I think we're more excited that it's a new year than anything else.
Yes, I think everyone thinks that new year, new us, COVID who? Just kidding. But that's what it feels like in Miami.
Every year people get excited around New Year's, the turn of the year. But this year just feels like more exciting. It's like we put 2020 behind us. It's time to move forward, focus on positive things. So
something we're all together with.
Yes.
Last year it feels so weird that we're only a couple days in and we're already saying last year when it was like yesterday-ish. Last year started off great. I had the pinup brunches up in South Florida, and the last event that I remember was I did the Rockabilly Q in the West Coast of Florida at the Hard Rock, and that was a great event. I enjoyed being on a large stage with big bands. And then we had the Spring Fling, which is like a rockabilly prom here in South Florida.
That was so much fun.
That was my favorite thing. It's been one of my dream events. And it was, we got to dance. If you weren't able to go, it was like a rockabilly prom, had a DJ spinning vinyl. I had a classic car because it was raining, so all the cars didn't come. We had a projector playing old black and white movies against this big, what would you call it, like outdoor.
It looked almost like a warehouse, but not really, because it was inside of the train museum.
So right? Warehouse for
trains there, but it was so cool.
We had the tables, the little plastic cardboard box cars on the tables with like the flowers were so cute because they were like I don't know names of flowers, but it was like in a milkshake vase, and the flowers were pink and white. And then we had swing dancing teachers, and we got to dance all night in between these trains, and it was amazing. And we're gonna be back, but when it's safe, I'm gonna bring it back. And if you missed out, make sure to check it out because it's so much fun.
And if you don't have a date, don't let that stop you, because I didn't have a date to go, and I almost didn't go. Thinking about it, because I'm like, to go to a dance without a date, and I had the time of my life. It was so much fun. So hopefully you'll bring that back soon as COVID is over.
As soon as it's safe. Yeah, because we did it for Valentine's last year. I was hoping to do it again for Valentine's this year, but no, not really. Not ready yet. But there are people that went single and ended up finding a date there, at least one person I know. So look at that. That's
love is in the air. Well, it's a romantic setting with like the vintage cars and the vintage trains, and then the music and the classic movies playing on the screen. So it was really nice. It was like the perfect night.
It's an excuse to dress up. And I mean, now more than ever, everyone is looking for a reason to dress up. But then after that, slowly everything just shut down. You know, we all saw things going on, or at least in my perspective, we heard about things going on the other side of the world. And then it started getting real when you started hearing everyone shut down. And then you're like, oh, maybe we should take it serious. And then we shut down. But at
I don't
first,
think anybody thought it would last so long. Like I remember my office when our boss called us into the conference room and he's, was telling us that we're going to shut down. He's like, okay, I'll see you guys in 2 weeks. And we were shut down for, 8 months. It's just crazy how long it lasted.
Yeah, and it goes up every holiday because nobody stays in.
Yeah.
And at New Year's Eve, you sent me a video in Miami that people were partying it up and no masks and no nothing.
Plus, it doesn't help that in Miami we have so many tourists that come. So people come from other cities and they come here to party. So I'm sure a lot of that were not locals, even though a lot of it probably was. But yeah.
What have you learned during COVID? Like for me, I got to learn new skills. Like for example, this podcast, I would have never thought about podcasting until I was so used to going out, connecting with people, connecting people to people, organizing events that, then I was like, well, I'll try this podcast so I could reach a different audience. And then, with this podcast alone, I was able to interview Tatiana Boutique, Besame Cosmetics, meet so many different individuals that have been amazing. And I have a list of so many amazing guests coming. And I've just had such a pleasure hearing the audience and the listeners telling me that they've enjoyed it. And then they keep coming back. And I feel like I fulfilled that missing part of me. And I'm also able to fulfill that part of me and then give it back to the listeners. Makes sense.
Yes. And I'm so glad you did it. I really love listening to the podcast and watching you grow, every week.
And being on it. What's your favorite episode besides the one that you were on?
Let me see. Gosh, every week I learn something new. And some of the girls that have been on, I know, and I always learn something new about them. And then there's some girls that I didn't know, but I feel like I know them after listening to their episodes because it's so like down to earth and, you get real with them. And it's just nice to see a different side of people. The last one that I listened to, I think it's the one from last week, was Kelly's episode about COVID. And I had chills all throughout that episode. It was really cool.
Yes.
Somebody's experience, everything that she went through with that.
Yeah, with COVID, everyone has a different experience, even if you have it or you don't have it. I mean, if you have it, it is way worse. But even if you don't have it, you have your own experience of either meeting somebody who has it, being scared of somebody that's exposed, that's out in public, your job. People have lost their jobs. It's a story for everyone. And it's a story that, should be told because I feel like some people think they're alone in situations. But we're all going through it together.
Yeah. Well, definitely. I mean, COVID has affected everyone. If you haven't had it, someone who has, or it's affected your livelihood, or, you're stuck at home on your own. It's affected everybody in a different way, but it's touched everybody. So it's something we can all relate to.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
This COVID has stories. I want to hear about dating. You're somebody that dated during COVID, no?
Yes.
How's the dating scene during COVID? I'm curious to know.
Well, for those that have listened to the podcast that I was on before, know about my sad dating stories. And dating in Miami is just difficult with or without COVID. It's just tough. But yeah, I mean, after a long time of no dating, I had put myself out of that equation. I was tired of it. I don't want to deal with it anymore. I lived by myself and I, ended up in quarantine by myself in my apartment for several months. And I was going insane and I felt so lonely. And I was just like climbing up the walls. I was bored. I didn't know what else to do. So I started dating again. I put myself, set up on a dating profile and gave it a shot.
Good.
I didn't feel comfortable meeting up with people right away. It was kind of the thing, like, do you meet in person? Do you do like the Zoom kind of date? That made me feel like even more awkward than trying to meet in person. I never did the Zoom date, to be honest. But I did go on several dates. And I would meet, at a park, which sounds really creepy, but I had actually some of the best dates I've ever been on. Have a picnic and get to know somebody outside and still be socially distant. But it was a lot of fun. So that's
sure
one
when people think park, they think
COVID.
of you on one side of the side of the park, and the other guy, hey.
Well, not that bad. It was like, on a park bench and one on each side. But, eventually as the dates progress and you get to trust somebody, then you can meet, be a little closer. They were really good dates. I didn't have any bad dates, thankfully. Let me knock on wood. But they were all good dates. Some were just one date, and then some were multiple dates with the same person. So we'll see. So it's a challenge, but it's not impossible. And listen, if I
like your feet wet
during COVID, anybody can date, because I had been so out of the dating scene for many years, plural. And I guess COVID just came through to kind of push me back into trying to meet someone and not be so lonely.
So how do you feel about dating this year? Are you gonna keep dating or and what other goals do you have for this year that not dating? There's resolutions.
Well, putting myself out there during COVID taught me that I can put myself out there. I can try to meet someone and kind of put whatever issues I had in the past that kind of put me out of the dating scene. I could put that aside and move forward. So that's one of my goals for this year, is to continue on that path. But, my goals for this year are the same goals that I have every year. Any one of my friends that you ask will tell you that I say this every year. My goals are to work on my art, or continue working on my art, and try to be happy, whatever that means. But, yeah, it's a new year, and, it's about moving forward.
It's so funny because at least in that's why I said everyone's story is so different. In my experience, I was with my boyfriend Timothy. Am with my boyfriend Timothy, and he actually moved in with me, and we've gotten closer than ever. So I guess everybody is different.
Well, I think what it is, like, I remember before COVID hit the U.S., and it was still in Europe and just in China. Already the statistics started coming out where there were, more instances of divorce and people were separating and things like that. And then we saw it get to the US and we started seeing the same thing here. But I think, when you're quarantined with someone 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for a long time, whatever is going on becomes like bigger. If it's a good thing, maybe it feels great. But if it's not that great, all that stress, it makes it, think about it. Like, I was going crazy being quarantined by myself. But at the same time, I thought, well, it's just me. I don't have to deal with anyone else.
It could be worse.
So, the stress is everything just becomes bigger. So it puts a lot of strain on marriages and relationships. And then if things are good, then it kind of brings you together and you learn how to, face these problems head on together. And, that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. And because Timothy, if you don't know him, he's really shy. So I feel like it got him out of his shell and he was just able to open more because he had to talk to me more, My vision for 2021 is to grow the podcast. In these couple of months that I've had it, we're episode number 30. That means 30-ish weeks because the first 3 episodes I released.
Cheers,
so I'm going to say, cheers to today I'm having Chick-fil-A.
Having my coffee.
So it's been 27 weeks that I've done the podcast. And if you've been with me since the beginning, you've noticed my quality has changed. My audio has changed. And I feel like it's just going to get bigger and better. And I'm going to have so many amazing guests this year that you guys are going to have so much fun. And I can't wait to show you guys. And then for my birthday in December, one of my New Year's resolutions was sponsored by you guys. My Facebook page, I did a fundraiser for my birthday to help fundraise my PinUp Miami goals. And one of the things was, well, I go to a lot of events and I really want to showcase the community, events, people, and I want to do it in a fun way. And I know I always, when I run Penn South Florida, they always make fun of me because I like to give speeches. Well, they don't make fun of me, but
we love them. What do you mean make me make fun of you? We love hearing you give a speech.
So I want to incorporate it, and I've been wanting to do it for a couple of years, but I've just been so scared. And this year, I just said, you know what? I'm gonna do it, YOLO. So I was able to get this microphone that is a wireless mic for the new camera that I got. That's why if you guys notice the quality, I got a Canon, and so I got this mic. But when you see it on YouTube, it's gonna look different because it will be sparkly. That's all I'm gonna say. But I want to be able to host and bring PinUp Miami to you. Wait, what was it? PinUp Miami in the streets and interview people and just have such fun. So make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel because that will be coming up soon because I'm waiting for a couple of other things that I ordered. And this wouldn't have been possible without you guys. And I just want to show you what's in the process because I want to make sure you're there every step of the way. And I can't wait to have you guys next to me when I grow. So
well,
that's my goal.
I told you before, every week you do something new. Every week there's something, and it's better. Every week is better. Like you improve your platform every single week, and it's amazing to watch.
Yes, and what's more amazing is the people on there, like you said, like Kelly. I learned a lot about Gabriela from Best Make Cosmetics. She had a very inspiring story. And Tatiana, Crystal, I used to work at Tatiana, but I didn't really know anybody in the West Coast. So that was really interesting to hear her part. And so if you guys know anybody or suggest anybody for the show, feel free to text me at 1-833-4PinUp. You could use that hotline for anything. So Vivian, do you have anything you'd like to share or ask me today?
Ooh, what can I share or ask you? Well, I'm working on redoing my website. We've been working on because I have someone helping me. I've been working on this for a while, so sometime this year we'll be rolling out a new website. And I'm always working on new projects. You know, I'm like the project queen. I always have something going on, and I think that's why we get along well because you always have something going on too. So tell me, I want to hear about some of the projects that you have in the works.
Well, I have
you always have a project. Every time I talk to you, there's a new project. So tell me.
Well, if you guys have been following me here, you guys know I was going to work on a wrapping paper dress, but that didn't happen. I had to work out the logistics. It didn't work out on time. But now I know what I have to do for next year. So I will have a wrapping paper dress next year.
You know, it doesn't have to be just for Christmas because there's other holidays that, you know, where you give gifts. Maybe you could change up a holiday and still do, you know, that fun project.
So I don't know, so many ideas that I have, but for this month, I'm working on a 1920s gown because my goal is to do more gowns, couture, fashion. I feel like plus size or mid sizes are never represented in couture style dresses. So I'm going to try to style and create a look. And also I want to create, I wouldn't consider it cosplay, but one of the outfits from Nurse Ratched, the TV show.
The fashion on that show was amazing.
Yes. I didn't like the show. I did not like the show. But I want to create
a little hit or miss.
But everything that the Nurse Ratched wore, I was amazed. So the first thing she wore was that yellow coat.
It was like a suit, right? Like a skirt suit.
I'm going to make that. But I'm going to make it Miami approved because you could tell that suit is a little hot.
It's probably wool, yeah.
Mine will not
be.
You
could do like a linen or a thinner fabric.
Yes. I already got the fabric. I got the fabric. I got the pattern. And I got the pattern for a hat.
We
need
love
to have
our
the
hat.
matching hat. So yes, I plan on doing that and more really couture dresses and try to push the boundaries of my sewing skills, along with growing my YouTube channel and bringing content to the world about things that I love and what people are missing in their bedrooms, which is some rockabilly fun. That came out wrong, but rockabilly.
Where is the conversation going? All right.
When I meant missing in the bedroom, I meant like missing in your home. You know, some rocking good time. Okay, you know what? It's not helping me.
It could be missing there too. So hey,
take it the way that I mean it, not the way that it sounds. I wanted to bring people back and just have a chill episode for the first 2021, and I appreciate you so much for joining in me. You mean the world. You're a motivation and an inspiration to me. Aww. Thank you so much for being on my podcast.
You absolutely are. I'm happy to be here and talk nonsense whenever you want me.
Yeah, people, I gotta say, I think the number one episode of last year, this one that we did Spanglish.
That one was fun. That was a lot of fun. That was our first episode, wasn't it? Yeah, that was our first one.
Yes. And that was a great episode, and it was a very popular one. I get a couple of people DM that they liked it a lot, and they rated, but you're Hispanic, and I feel like a lot of my audience could relate to that.
Yeah.
But yes, the next week, Shannon, her name is Blondie Braps. I talk about her modeling. She was also part of the Out Pinned Calendar, and she's going to join me to talk about her experience on the calendar shoot, on her modeling life, and on her boyfriend's adventures with her motorcycles. Thank you for joining in, Vivian, and I will see you all next week.
All right. Thank you for having me. Bye.